The door bursts open, and Carolyn steps into the lobby with the triplets gathered around her. And in that exact moment, Matthew freezes. In the eyes of those children, he sees the future he once walked away from, a future that now returns without warning. The air seems to falter, but before we continue this story filled with secrets and unexpected turns, tell me here in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? Leave your like, it helps the channel so much. And subscribe to Hearts Rewritten so you don't miss a single chapter of this emotional story. The elegant Chicago skyline gleamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the luxury penthouse, where Carolyn Small had been living ever since she married Matthew Harrington. The afternoon sun cut between the tall buildings like golden blades, lighting Lake Michigan with a postcard-perfect shimmer. But none of that reached Carolyn. She stood frozen before the window, body tense, fingers gripping an envelope that had turned her life upside down in a matter of minutes. The medical report confirmed what her queasy mornings had already tried to warn her. She was pregnant, with 3 babies. A light rain began tapping against the glass, falling in rhythm with her restless heartbeat. She glanced at the clock. Matthew would be home soon. Even after 3 months of marriage to one of the most influential names in the Midwest financial sector, her heart still raced whenever she heard the elevator rising. It was funny, or maybe sad, how a part of her still hoped he would be the charming man she had first met. She remembered that moment, a fundraising dinner at Lakeview University months earlier. Matthew had walked into the ballroom like someone accustomed to commanding any room, flawless suit, perfect posture, confident gaze. And yet, when his eyes met hers, Carolyn felt as if the world had sharpened its focus around them. The romance that followed was fast, dazzling, almost unreal. Last-minute trips to cities she never imagined visiting, dinners in restaurants with year-long wait lists, promises whispered with conviction, and a proposal that stole her breath. His family, however, never hid their discomfort. The Harringtons came from generations of wealth, tradition, and curated appearances. To them, Carolyn, a black woman raised in the modest outskirts of Milwaukee who had built her life through determination, was acceptable only for now. She could still hear the cold voice of Matthew's mother during their small civil ceremony. "She'll do for the moment," the woman told her eldest son, unaware Carolyn was listening, "until he needs to choose someone appropriate for the Harrington name." The familiar chime of the elevator sounded. Matthew was home early. Carolyn straightened her posture, slipping the ultrasound into the pocket of her blouse. She wanted this moment to be special, meaningful. Her positive memory before everything changed. Matthew stepped into the apartment with his usual automatic confidence. At 34, he looked carved for success, tall, handsome, impeccably dressed in a charcoal blue suit. Without lifting his eyes from his phone, he tossed his keys onto the console table. "The market closed high today," he announced, almost to himself. The Singapore negotiation moved forward. "Matthew," Carolyn began, her voice low but steady. "I need to tell you something important." He glanced up briefly. His expression said, "Make it quick." "Can it wait? I have a meeting in 15 minutes. "No," she replied, slowly pulling out the folded paper. "It's important now." With an impatient sigh, he put the phone away and walked to the bar cart, pouring himself some whiskey into a crystal glass. "What is it?" Carolyn drew a deep breath. "I'm pregnant." His hand froze mid-air. An unreadable flicker crossed his face. Surprise, discomfort, before melting back into the neutral expression he saved for difficult boardrooms. "All right, that's unexpected," he said, taking a small sip. "We'll need to discuss alternatives." "I'm not finished," Carolyn interrupted, extending the ultrasound. "There are 3. I'm expecting triplets." The silence that followed seemed to slice the air. Matthew took the paper as if afraid to touch her. His eyes skimmed the report with calculated coldness. "Triplets," he repeated, voice icy. "That was not part of my plans." "We have space, we have resources, we can adjust our lives," Carolyn insisted. He set the ultrasound on the marble counter as though it were something unwanted. "Space isn't the issue, Carolyn, it's image. Complications like this aren't welcome at this point in my career." The ground shifted beneath her. Complications. There are children. Matthew ignored her. He picked up his phone and called someone. Robert, it's Matthew. Prepare the separation papers. Yes, today, standard terms, quick process, and full confidentiality. He spoke as if handling a stock purchase. When he hung up, he turned to her with absolute coldness. Let's be practical. It's better to end this now. You're leaving me because I'm pregnant? Her voice trembled. Carolyn, he said, rolling his eyes, you know you're not the kind of wife a Harrington needs long-term. Having a diverse marriage is one thing. It pleases investors. Another thing entirely is having 3 mixed-race children appearing in the family's official photos. That pushes away important clients. Each word cut like a blade. Carolyn wrapped her arms around her belly, instinctively protecting her babies. Matthew walked to the office, opened the safe, and returned with a checkbook. $100,000, he said, tearing out a page. Enough for you to start over somewhere else. And to take care of this. This? They're your children, Carolyn whispered, barely able to speak. He shrugged, already looking back at his phone. They're not mine. They're an accident I'm correcting before it destroys years of work. I want you gone by tomorrow morning. Something inside her broke, but not into despair, into strength. Carolyn took the check, looked at it for a moment, and without taking her eyes off Matthew, she tore it into dozens of tiny pieces, letting them fall like snow over the apartment's immaculate marble floor. I don't need your money to raise my children. Carolyn Small's words echoed through the luxurious apartment like a clean, sharp strike. Matthew Harrington raised an eyebrow, the first truly human reaction in their entire conversation, before letting out a cold smile, almost pleased by her boldness. Always so. Reasonable, he murmured. Then I suggest you start looking for a place that matches your junior assistant's salary. Chicago isn't usually kind to single mothers without connections. Those were the last words she heard before walking out of the penthouse she once believed would be her home. That night, in a modest room of a cheap hotel on the outskirts of Lakefield, Carolyn cried until sleep finally overtook her. Pale morning light slipped through the worn curtains, revealing a face streaked with dried tears. She packed her small suitcase with mechanical movements. Among the folded clothes, she found the pieces of the check she had torn the night before. For a moment, her mind wrestled. She thought about taping the paper back together. She thought about depositing it. She thought about the weight of raising 3 lives completely alone, but the same strength that made her turn her back on Matthew and everything he stood for kept her from even considering going back. Dignity has no price. And she would not sell hers. The following weeks were a plunge into harsh realities. Almost 6 months pregnant with triplets, exhausted, emotionally shattered, and with the Harrington name now being used against her, Carolyn discovered that no company in Chicago would hire her. Her standout degree from Lakeview State and years of administrative experience meant nothing. The moment people learned whom she had been married to, doors slammed shut. With no alternatives, she returned to her hometown, Milwaukee, a place that welcomed her with the indifferent chill of the past. She found a tiny apartment in Riverside District, the same working-class neighborhood where she grew up. The place was cramped, peeling paint, noisy pipes, windows that rattled every time a bus passed. $900 a month, heat included, the landlord said, eyeing her belly suspiciously. First month, last month, and security deposit up front. Carolyn took a deep breath. I'll take it. What little remained of her savings evaporated right there. The job search was humiliating. During interviews, recruiters praised her resume until they reached the part about her former connection to Matthew. Then, politely, they said they would keep her resume on file. After 2 weeks of closed doors, she accepted a position far below her qualifications at St. Bridget's Regional Hospital as an administrative assistant. You're overqualified, said Gloria, the weary manager who hired her. But we need someone immediately, $20 an hour, benefits in 3 months. It wasn't enough, but it was all she had. At night, Carolyn went over numbers in a dented notepad: rent, food, bills, prenatal care. And soon, 3 babies. The numbers screamed the same truth: impossible. The following weekend, She was already in a black uniform at Riverside Diner, balancing trays and ignoring strange looks at her 24-week belly. "Black coffee, and fast," a man demanded, without looking up from his phone. "Of course, sir," she answered, swallowing her pride. At the end of the double shift, her ankles were swollen, her skin stretched and aching. On the bus ride home, she counted her tips, $67 and some coins. She placed everything inside an envelope labeled by hand, for the kids. She tucked the envelope into the empty freezer. On Tuesdays and Sundays, she gave private tutoring sessions to students from Northern Lakes University. $30 an hour, little but enough to survive another week. In her 8th month of pregnancy, exhaustion finally took her down. After a shift at the hospital, another at the diner, and 3 hours of tutoring, Carolyn entered her apartment, took 3 steps inside, and collapsed onto the worn carpet, unable even to reach her phone. It was her neighbor, Mrs. Eliza Carter, a retired nurse, who found Carolyn unconscious and called an ambulance. At the hospital, the doctor left no room for negotiation. Strict bed rest, or you're facing serious risk, and so are your babies. "How am I supposed to rest if I have to work?" Carolyn murmured, already knowing there was no answer. During those quiet weeks, with Mrs. Carter stopping by every day to check on her, Carolyn had time for the first time in months, time to observe, time to think. She noticed enormous flaws in the hospital's administrative systems, repeated forms, communication errors between departments, processes that cost time and money. And for the first time in months, something inside her lit up again. Ideas, strategies, solutions. One day we'll come back, not as Matthew Harrington's rejected children, but as heirs to something far greater than anything he ever built, and he will swallow every word he said. She didn't know, couldn't imagine, that 12 years later, she would be on the stage of one of the biggest business events in the country, announcing the acquisition of Harrington Holdings, while Matthew, in the audience, would be nothing but a shadow crushed by his own regret. The next morning, still in the hospital, her phone buzzed with yet another rejection email. "Thank you for your interest in the senior analyst position." Unfortunately, it was the 5th one that week. Sitting up in bed, gently rubbing her belly, Carolyn whispered, "They're making everything difficult for us, but difficult isn't impossible." Her bank balance read $3,120. At that pace, she had 6 weeks before hitting the bottom. For a second, she remembered the torn check, the feeling of victory, and wondered if she should have done things differently, but only for a second. The next morning, she boarded an old bus to Milwaukee. The trip was brutal: nausea, fatigue, stairs, discomfort. When she stepped off at the central station, the elderly driver asked, "Need help with the suitcase?" She took a deep breath. "I'm fine, thank you." That phrase, repeated so many times, was becoming her armor. In the days that followed, life returned to its harsh, familiar rhythm. And Carolyn began again. In the cafes, in the hospital hallways, in sleepless nights, in scribbled notepads. She didn't know it yet, but that would be the beginning of the empire that would change everything. With the way you explain cost accounting, it actually sounds like it makes sense, a senior student commented with a grateful smile. "Have you ever thought about teaching?" Carolyn smiled, tired but kind. "Maybe someday." The calendar pinned to the kitchen wall already looked like a mosaic of colors: hospital shifts, tutoring hours, appointments, payment dates. Every night she crossed off another day, getting closer to the delivery with a balanced mix of hope and fear. At 28 weeks, Dr. Patel's concern became clear during the appointment. "Your blood pressure is high, Carolyn, and you are clearly exhausted. Carrying triplets puts far more strain on the body. You need to slow down." "I understand," she replied, even though she knew she couldn't. Slowing down meant losing income, and she already didn't have enough. 2 weeks later, after an exhausting Saturday at Maple and Steam Diner, Carolyn tried to fit her key into her apartment door. The hallway lights blurred. The floor seemed to tilt. Darkness swallowed everything before she could reach her phone. When she opened her eyes, the harsh hospital lights blinded her for a moment. Beside the bed sat an older black woman she had never seen, silver woven through her braids and gentle eyes. "Welcome back, dear," she said softly. I'm Marjorie Carter, from 3C. I found you in the hallway coming back from church. Carolyn tried to sit up, frightened. The babies are fine for now, a firm male voice said. The on-call obstetrician, Dr. Morris, approached while reviewing a clipboard. But they won't stay that way if you keep exhausting yourself. You need complete rest until delivery. That's impossible, Carolyn protested. I have to work. What you need is to keep those 3 children inside you for at least 4 more weeks, he replied. Every single day matters for their development. Mrs. Carter placed her hand over Carolyn's. I already called the hospital and the diner, she said calmly. I told them you're on medical leave. But I can't, Carolyn began. Life finds a way, dear, Mrs. Carter interrupted gently. I raised 4 children on a nurse's salary after my husband died. Strong women like us sometimes need to let someone help. The tears Carolyn had held back for months finally escaped. I don't have anyone. Now you do, Marjorie said simply. The weeks of forced rest were as frustrating as they were revealing. With too much time and too little mobility, Carolyn began observing how Riverside General Hospital functioned during her appointments. The flaws were glaring. Duplicated paperwork, outdated systems, broken communication between departments. Did you know patients fill out the same information 3 times? She asked a nurse. Don't even get me started, the nurse sighed. It's been that way forever. With a tutoring notebook, Carolyn began mapping processes, identifying bottlenecks, and sketching solutions. The more she observed, the more she saw a clear opportunity. Hospitals were drowning in inefficiency, and no one seemed willing to address it. What do you scribble in there so much? Mrs. Carter asked one evening, bringing a warm meal. The beginning of something, Carolyn answered thoughtfully. Maybe a path forward. By 36 weeks, the tiny apartment in Norwood Heights had changed completely. Mrs. Carter mobilized the church women, and donations began pouring in. 3 used cribs, a dresser changer, bags of newborn clothes, boxes of diapers. The generosity made Carolyn cry, but this time out of gratitude. One day I'll repay all of this, she promised. Just pass it on when you can, Marjorie replied. On January 3rd, 2013, after 18 hours of labor, the triplets were finally born. First came Allie, small but intense. 7 minutes later, Avery, with a softer, almost curious cry. And last came Tyler, silent for a terrifying few seconds, until he released a loud, indignant scream. 3 perfect babies, the doctor announced, looking both tired and pleased. 5 pounds each, impressive for triplets. When the nurses placed the 3 tiny bodies in Carolyn's arms, the world seemed to stop. 3 identical little faces, warm caramel skin, eyes still unfocused. Then, suddenly, the children blinked, and the piercing blue appeared. The same blue she tried so hard to forget. They have his eyes, she whispered, overwhelmed by conflicting emotions. Mrs. Carter tilted her head as she observed them. Maybe they do, but the spirit that I can already see is yours. The apartment became an improvised nursery, 3 cribs occupying the former dining area, plastic bins full of donated clothes, diapers stacked in every corner. The church women organized a rotation to help daily, caring for the babies, preparing meals, offering company. And for the first time in a long while, Carolyn realized that maybe she wasn't as alone as she thought. While Carolyn was still recovering from the C-section, sleep became a distant luxury. The triplets followed completely different rhythms. When one finally fell asleep, another woke crying for milk, a diaper change, or simply the comfort of their mother's presence. Carolyn adapted as she always did, with discipline. She created a color-coded schedule, organized feedings, naps, and diaper changes as if she were optimizing an entire department. The same efficiency that once earned her honors at Burlington University. You don't have to do this alone, Mrs. Carter reminded her on a difficult night when Tyler screamed endlessly from colic. Give him to me for a bit. Go rest. Carolyn shook her head, exhausted, deep shadows under her eyes. I can't keep relying on everyone's kindness. This isn't charity, Mrs. Carter corrected firmly. It's community, and one day you'll do the same for someone else. During midnight feedings, Carolyn sat in the worn armchair by the window, one of the girls at her breast and her tablet balanced on the armrest. While the pump filled a second bottle, she researched hospital management systems, administrative efficiency, and optimization consulting. The ideas born during bed rest were starting to take shape. Now they were more than scribbles. They were the beginning of a vision. At 6 weeks postpartum, earlier than her doctor recommended, Carolyn returned to work at Riverside General Hospital. She did the impossible to align her shifts with Mrs. Carter's availability, who offered to watch the triplets. The administrative department received her with polite distance, professional respect, but no real warmth. In the small basement break room, she pumped during lunch, storing each bottle in the communal fridge with labels, Allie, Avery, Tyler. As the pump pulsed in its steady rhythm, Carolyn used the time to note redundant processes, communication failures, and recurring administrative errors. Until one day her supervisor, Mr. Reed, caught her taking notes. "You should focus on your filing, Ms. Small," he advised tersely. "These administrative issues are above your pay grade." It stung, but Carolyn simply nodded with dignity. "Of course, sir, I'll return to filing immediately." That night, after finally managing to get all 3 babies to sleep, she drafted a formal proposal. It was complete, precise, backed by carefully collected data. She printed it on quality paper, bought with money she could hardly spare. 2 days later, she requested a meeting with the department head. "I've identified several ways to improve our administrative efficiency," she said calmly, sliding the document across the desk. "We can reduce processing time by at least 30%. Mr. Reed gave the pages a superficial glance. "Ms. Small, I appreciate your enthusiasm," he began, "but you should focus on your assigned duties. Administrative systems are handled by specialized consultants." "I have an MBA from Burlington University, with a concentration in systems optimization," Carolyn reminded him. "And yet, you're an administrative assistant," he retorted, handing the document back. "There must be a reason for that. Focus on what you were hired to do." The rejection echoed Matthew Harrington's words. "You don't belong at this level." Carolyn took the proposal with trembling hands, but her chin remained lifted. "Thank you for your time." The triplets were growing fast, revealing distinct personalities despite their identical beginning. Allie, the observer, always alert to everything around her. Avery, the cheerful one, fascinated by the movement of shadows. Tyler, the most demanding, crying whenever left alone for more than a few seconds. At their 6-month checkup, pediatrician Dr. Dawson commented, "They're hitting all their milestones right on time, which is remarkable for triplets. You're doing an extraordinary job, Ms. Small. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing anything right." 3 healthy babies say you are," he assured her. That night, as she bathed the triplets in the kitchen sink, a choreography she had mastered through trial and error, Carolyn studied each little face. Matthew's eyes were there. 3 times. "Their father had the world in his hands," she murmured, "but he couldn't see the greatest treasure he was given." The next day, she overheard 2 administrators talking in the hallway. "We're losing nearly 20% of reimbursements due to errors," the CFO complained, "and the consultants want another 100,000 to fix it." That night, Carolyn revised her proposal, now focused specifically on insurance claims. This time, she didn't ask permission. During her lunch break, she implemented small changes within her own workflow. She documented everything. 3 weeks later, her error rate had dropped from 18% to just 3%. At the quarterly review, the assistant director noted, "Small's numbers are far above the rest of the team. What are you doing differently?" Carolyn was ready. "I developed a modified verification protocol," she explained, handing out copies. "It adds less than a minute to the initial process, but reduces correction time by 83%. The room went silent. "Why didn't you bring this sooner?" "Mr. Reed asked defensively. "I did," Carolyn replied. 3 months ago." 2 weeks later, Carolyn was invited to present her proposal to the department heads. Standing before professionals with decades more experience, she kept her voice steady. "The changes require minimal disruption to the current workflow and can generate around 30% savings in the first year." The CFO frowned. "You developed this system while working as a junior administrative assistant?" "I developed it while watching 3 departments duplicate efforts and waste resources," she answered politely. My position gave me visibility that management may not have. That night, driven by an old wound, Carolyn wrote another letter to the Harrington family. She attached professional photos of the triplets at 6 months old. 3 identical pairs of blue eyes, impossible to deny. The letter was factual, without accusations, simply informing them of the existence and health of their grandchildren. A week later, the envelope returned, unopened, stamped, "Recipient refuses to accept correspondence from this sender." Carolyn stared at the rejection for a long moment before methodically tearing the envelope and photos into tiny pieces. "They don't deserve to know you," she whispered to Allie, Avery, and Tyler, who played on a blanket nearby. That night, sitting between the 3 cribs in the dim apartment of Norwood Heights, Carolyn watched her children sleep. Allie with her thumb in her mouth, Avery with her arms open as if embracing the world, Tyler curled into his favorite blanket. "One day," she promised softly, "you'll go back to Chicago, not as Matthew's rejected children, but as heirs to something far greater than anything he ever built, and he'll drown in the regret of every word he said." What Carolyn couldn't possibly know, as she kissed her children's foreheads that night, was that in just 3 years, her unique understanding of hospital systems would draw the attention of investors who would see her not as an abandoned single mother, but as a visionary capable of revolutionizing healthcare management in the United States. The boardroom at Riverside General Hospital went silent when the final slide of Carolyn's presentation faded from the screen. 12 administrators remained motionless, processing the data, numbers impossible to ignore. "To summarize," said the CFO, "Ms. Small's system reduced administrative processing time by 27% in the pilot department, with projected annual savings of $3.2 million if applied throughout the hospital." Carolyn stood at the head of the table, her posture impeccable despite having woken up at 4 in the morning with a feverish Tyler. Her simple department store blazer was perfectly pressed, her natural hair pulled back in a professional style. "The numbers speak for themselves," she concluded. "The question is whether Riverside will be the first to implement this system, or if you'll watch another hospital reap the benefits while you continue losing millions to administrative inefficiency." 2 weeks later, the system was approved for full implementation. When the board signed the proposal, Carolyn went home with tears streaming down her cheeks. Not of sadness, but vindication. The system Mr. Reed had dismissed as above her pay grade would now save millions. At the beginning of 2014, Carolyn's reputation had already spread throughout the Boston medical community. Her efficiency methodology exceeded all projections, saving nearly $4 million in the first year. When neighboring hospitals sent representatives to observe the system in action, it was Carolyn who led the tours, explaining with clarity the workflows she had designed. "You should be charging as a consultant," Dr. Patel commented during one of the triplets' appointments. "Other hospitals are using your ideas while you're earning what, $22 an hour?" "23, Carolyn corrected, wiping puree from Avery's chin. "But you're right. I've been thinking about the next steps." The triplets, now 2 years old, explored the world with the determined curiosity of small children. Allie spoke in complete sentences, surprising her teachers. Avery hummed elaborate melodies. Tyler dismantled toys with careful precision, more interested in understanding than playing. Balancing motherhood and work was a daily challenge. The walls of the small apartment were covered with schedules, charts, goals, reminders. Carolyn slept 4 hours a night, dedicating the rest to studying business models and entrepreneurship. On a rainy April morning, she sat at the kitchen table surrounded by spreadsheets and drafts. The triplets played in the playpen, Tyler stacking blocks, Allie and Avery flipping through books. "What do you think, little ones? Should Mommy start her own company?" "Yes, Mommy," Allie answered seriously. "Make a really big office." Carolyn laughed, surprised. "So be it then," she murmured. "From your lips to God's ears, Allie." The following week, she visited the Boston Minority Business Development Agency. Wearing her best business outfit, navy blue, thrift store bought, carefully tailored, she presented her plan with the same steadiness she once had in the hospital boardroom. "Your concept is solid," said the agent, Mrs. Rivera, "but starting a business is risky. Have you considered the personal financial impact?" Carolyn handed her the risk analysis. "I've considered everything. and this will not fail." The agent studied her for a long moment. "Few applicants convince me this strongly." A month later, the loan came through, $75,000 to launch small healthcare solutions, small for the industry, enormous for her. Carolyn gathered the triplets to explain, "Mommy is starting a business. I'll work a lot, sometimes at night, but everything I do is for us." Tyler raised his finger. "Will you make money, Mummy?" he asked, already grasping financial concepts beyond his age. "If we work hard, yes." "Then buy me a robot." In June 2014, the business was officially born in the living room. The dining table became a desk, a used laptop, a printer bought in installments, stacks of perfectly organized folders. While the triplets slept, she developed the software prototype. One night, she felt a presence. It was Tyler, watching the screen with surprising seriousness. "What's that?" he asked, pointing at the code. "It's how computers talk," Carolyn explained. "I want to do that too." She pulled him onto her lap. "And maybe one day you will." With autumn came the first opportunity, a presentation at the Norwood Heights Community Health Center. The day before, the babysitter called in sick. "I can't miss this meeting," Carolyn told Mrs. Carter, desperate. "Then take them," Mrs. Carter replied matter-of-factly. "They're well-behaved children." The next morning, Carolyn arrived at the clinic with the triplets immaculate and a bag full of quiet toys. During the presentation, the children colored silently, glancing at their mother with unmistakable pride. "Your system is impressive," Dr. Thompson said, "but how do you manage to develop something this sophisticated while raising triplets alone?" "The same way I'll serve your clinic," she answered, "with efficiency, dedication, and the certainty that failure is not an option." 2 days later, the contract was signed. Her first client. That night, she ordered pizza to celebrate. "Is that good?" Ali asked. "It's very good," Carolyn replied. "It means we're building something important." During dinner, Tyler looked up. "Mommy, James at daycare said everyone has a dad. Where's ours?" The air seemed to stop. Carolyn took a steady breath. "Your daddy lives far away. He can't be with us, but the four of us are a complete family." "Does he love us?" Avery asked in a small voice. Carolyn wrapped her arms around her daughter. "Some people don't know how to love the right way. That's not your fault." Later, after putting them to bed, she opened the email that had arrived during dinner. The COO of Riverside General Hospital wanted to discuss implementing her system in a 200-bed facility. Carolyn closed her eyes. This was only the beginning. With trembling hands, Carolyn scheduled the meeting for the following week. Before closing her laptop, she allowed herself a moment of weakness. She typed the name Matthew Harrington into the search bar. There he was, photographed at a charity ball in Chicago, his arm draped around a blonde woman with aristocratic features. The caption identified her as Diana Comerford, his fiancée. Carolyn immediately closed the browser. She wouldn't allow the past to interfere with the future she was building. The next morning, she returned to the bank, this time with a signed contract in hand, requesting additional financing to expand her operations. 2 months later, she signed the lease for a small office in an unassuming building near the medical district. The room measured barely 200 square feet, with industrial carpet and fluorescent lighting, but it represented a milestone. On the desk, she placed a single photograph, Ali, Avery, and Tyler on their 3rd birthday, 3 identical smiles lighting up the frame. While Carolyn arranged business cards with the new address, Matthew Harrington was in Chicago, signing documents for a merger that would double his fortune. Unaware that the woman he had discarded was building the company that would one day absorb his. The small office that had once seemed like a distant dream now felt cramped as Carolyn led her 10-person team in the weekly meeting. Whiteboards filled with workflows and projections covered the walls while the developers worked on the new version of the small healthcare solutions system. "The implementation at Riverside General Hospital begins next week," she announced, pride evident in her voice. "This is our biggest milestone so far. We're not talking about just any hospital." Illa Chen, her operations director, nodded. "If we succeed there, every hospital in New England is going to come looking for us." "When we succeed," Carolyn corrected, "not if." April 2017 marked the decisive turning point. Riverside General, the largest hospital in Boston, signed a full institution implementation contract after the pilot reduced errors by 32% and cut costs by 28%. After the meeting, Carolyn stepped into her small private office, a glass-walled corner at the back, and allowed herself a silent celebration. At 32, she had built a company of 10 employees and was on track to surpass $1 million in annual revenue. The initial $75,000 loan was completely paid off. Her phone vibrated. Ali and Avery's music lessons would end in 30 minutes. She gathered her things, the automatic efficiency of a working mother. The triplets were now 5 years old and attended kindergarten at Brookline Academy, with partial scholarships granted for their extraordinary abilities. The school had initially offered only one scholarship, until Carolyn firmly explained that separating the three was not an option. Impressed by her determination and by the children's brilliant assessments, they found additional funding. At the Boston Children's Chorus building, Carolyn arrived just as class ended. Through the window, she watched Ali draw the bow across her tiny quarter-size violin with fierce concentration, while Avery pressed piano keys with surprising precision, eyes half closed in identical focus. "They're extraordinary," the music teacher whispered. "Ali has perfect pitch and Avery's sense of rhythm is unusual for a 5-year-old. After picking them up, she rushed to Brookline Academy, where Tyler was finishing the advanced math program. She found him at the whiteboard, solving equations beside much older students. "Mom, look!" he shouted. "Miss Petrovich said I can join the robotics club, even though I'm only in kindergarten." The ride home was filled with chatter. Ali describing the new musical piece, Avery humming softly, Tyler explaining a math concept with contagious enthusiasm. Their apartment in Norwood Heights was a significant upgrade from the old studio. They now had 2 bedrooms, large windows, working appliances, and a small balcony where Carolyn kept a herb garden. The triplets shared the main bedroom, 3 beds, 3 nightstands, everything color-coded. Mrs. Carter visited often, more family than neighbor. That night she brought a casserole and news from the old building. "The church is organizing a school supply drive," she said. "I told them about your company. They're very proud of you." After putting the children to bed, Carolyn opened her laptop. She reviewed the implementation plan for Riverside General, allowing herself to dream, financial stability, and perhaps a house where each child would have their own room. The implementation at Riverside General exceeded every expectation. 6 months later, 5 more major New England hospitals signed contracts with small healthcare solutions. By the end of 2018, the company had 40 employees and occupied a larger office in a renovated industrial building on the South Boston waterfront. Success brought new challenges. Carolyn now led a growing team while still maintaining direct involvement in system design. Meanwhile, the triplets continued to thrive, academically and in every extracurricular activity. In August 2018, Carolyn purchased a modest townhouse in a safe neighborhood with excellent public schools. The children, now 6, ran through the house marveling at the yard, even if it was small. "Do we each get our own room?" Tyler asked immediately. Carolyn smiled. "Not yet. The 3 of you will share the bigger bedroom. The smaller one will be my office." She could have afforded a larger home, but she preferred to reinvest in the company's growth. Her comfortable salary reflected her priorities, long-term vision, not immediate luxury. The only luxuries she indulged in were for the children's education, museums, music, science. In October, the triplets' teacher requested a special meeting. Carolyn arrived apprehensive. "Ms. Small," the teacher began, quickly correcting herself. "I've been teaching for 15 years, and I've never encountered children like yours. They aren't just smart, they're exceptional." The teacher flipped through the reports carefully. "Ali reads at a 4th grade level. Avery has above-average artistic and musical talent, and Tyler solved an exercise so advanced that I consulted another teacher." Carolyn was not surprised. "What's your recommendation?" "Acceleration in their strongest areas, perhaps separate classes." "They stay together," Carolyn decided. "They support each other." On a grey November afternoon, while waiting for Avery to finish allergy tests, Carolyn flipped through a magazine and froze. A photo of Matthew Harrington at a Chicago gala smiling beside his wife, Diana. The text referred to that marriage as his first, her past erased as if it had never existed. The old pain tried to surface, but Avery walked out proudly with her stickers, and that alone was enough to bring Carolyn back. She closed the magazine. The past would remain where it belonged. That night, she reviewed her goals: expand beyond New England, create specialized modules and, within a few years, enter the Chicago hospital market, the city that once wounded her. She wrote at the bottom, "Chicago branch by 2023. The children will be 11, the right age to understand." While she dreamed, she had no idea that Harrington Holdings was beginning to face internal trouble, a crisis about to collide with her path. Days later, Small Healthcare Solutions headquarters buzzed with new numbers. "Our valuation has surpassed $500 million, Carolyn announced. "We now have more than 300 employees." The room erupted in applause. International meetings followed. Canada showed serious interest. She barely had time to rush to Jordan Hall to watch Ali and Avery perform with the youth orchestra. At just 8 years old, the girls stepped onto the stage with a precision that astonished adults. Carolyn's pride was almost tangible. That weekend, Tyler competed at MIT. He explained his solution with confidence, won first place, and drew laughter by insisting everyone state his age accurately. And with the brilliance of the three came media invitations, all declined. Any photo could reach Matthew, and the triplets had the Harrington blue eyes. But one question was inevitable. "Mum, we have to make a family tree," Ali said. "What about our father's side?" Carolyn kept her voice gentle. "Not all families follow the same format. Ours is complete." The next morning, Tyler walked into her room holding a forbidden folder. "I found this. Why is our last name Small, not Harrington?" Carolyn asked him to sit. "Small is the family that has been present since the first day. Some people weren't ready to be parents. Your father was one of them. Will we meet him someday?" he asked. She took a slow breath. "Maybe, my love. But for now, our family is already whole." That night, Carolyn gathered the triplets in the living room. Ali and Avery sat together. Tyler hugged a pillow in the armchair. 3 pairs of blue-gray eyes watched her, the genetic inheritance that always weighed on her chest. "Tyler found some papers, and it brought up questions about your father," she began. Avery asked softly, "Is he a bad person?" "No," Carolyn answered carefully. "But he made choices that didn't include being a father." "He didn't love us?" Ali pressed. Carolyn held her daughter's small hands. "Some people don't know how to love the right way. That has nothing to do with you." After explaining everything honestly and gently, Carolyn did something she had avoided for years. She typed Matthew Harrington into the search bar. The headlines were harsh: financial declines, leadership criticism, negative quarters. She closed the window. The past would not take space from the future, but it was impossible to ignore the contrast between his crumbling empire and hers, which grew stronger every year. Over the weekend, she celebrated the triplets' 8th birthday in the backyard. A simple cake, close friends, modest activities. The girls blew out the candles together. Tyler, ever precise, made his wish silently. Carolyn felt her eyes sting. They had grown extraordinary, even without a father. But one thought cut through her. In less than 3 years, they would stand before the man who had rejected them. Meanwhile, the skyscraper of Small Healthcare Solutions towered over Boston. On the 32nd floor, Carolyn reviewed the acquisition that would place her at the top of the industry. "The board approved it," Layla said. "We'll have contracts with nearly 70% of New England's hospitals." Carolyn smiled, powerful at 38. The intercom buzzed. "Mrs. Small, this is Director Harrington from Brookline Academy. Ali and Avery have been invited to perform with the Boston Symphony Orchestra. It's rare for 11-year-old girls." Carolyn's pride overflowed. At home, Tyler ran in with his laptop. "I created an algorithm that improves patient routing." She analyzed it, surprised. "This is brilliant. Want to present it tomorrow?" The boy nearly jumped with joy. The company was now valued at $3. $7 billion, operating in 38 states, testing expansion into Canada and London. A notification appeared, ranked 12th among the 50 most powerful women in business. Carolyn remembered Matthew's cruel words. You'll never be enough by my side. How wrong he was. The next morning, her assistant walked in. The Wall Street Journal wants to know if you'll comment on Harrington Holdings' downturn. No, she replied. It's none of our concern. But she checked her tablet anyway. The once giant company was now worth just over $250 million. There was no victory in that, only the inevitable cost of every choice. One of the articles showed a photo of Matthew Harrington at a shareholders' meeting. The once imposing posture now looked defensive. New lines marked his face, and even the tailored suit no longer carried the same authority. Carolyn felt a brief tightening in her chest. Not pity, not satisfaction. Only the quiet confirmation that their paths had truly diverged. The weekend brought rest. Ali and Avery rehearsed for the orchestra. Tyler refined the algorithm. Over breakfast, Carolyn spoke about the Forbes summit. I want you to come with me. You're old enough to see what we've built. Are we going to have to talk to people? Ali asked. Only if you want to, she replied. Avery grinned. Are we wearing fancy clothes? The fanciest ones. While adjusting Ali's navy blue Valentino dress, the girl whispered, I'm nervous. Remember what I always say? Carolyn straightened the pearl necklace. We don't need anyone's approval. The following weeks were consumed by preparations. Carolyn wrote her keynote while the triplets rehearsed their app demonstration. The title reflected her journey, Turning Rejection into Revolution. While reviewing the list of attendees, one name at the bottom made her heart pause for a second. Matthew Harrington. Everything all right, Mrs. Small? Her assistant asked. Yes, just a new addition. That night, she called the triplets. Your biological father will be at the event. 3 pairs of eyes widened. Will he talk to us? Tyler asked. I don't know, but I want you to be prepared. Will you be okay? Avery whispered. I will. We're going as the family we are. Late into the night, Carolyn rehearsed her speech while across the city, Matthew confirmed his attendance, desperate for investors to save his company on the brink of collapse. Summit morning dawned cold. Ali, your pearl earrings are on the vanity, Carolyn called as she put on her own sapphire earrings. Ali fought anxiety in the mirror. Avery smoothed her white dress. Tyler muttered formulas while wrestling with his tie. Mum, will we recognize him? Tyler asked. Maybe, but remember you're small. The limousine arrived at 9 a.m. A photographer captured the scene, the elegant CEO and her 3 confident children. Any comment about your keynote? They asked. The work speaks for itself. As the car pulled away, Matthew stared at his reflection in the small hotel room mirror. At 45, exhaustion was unmistakable. The Armani suit was from an old collection, impossible to hide in that world. Last chance, he muttered, tightening his tie. The Ritz-Carlton ballroom buzzed with power and anticipation. Matthew entered discreetly. The hostess guided him to a table along the edges of the room, far from where real decisions were made. He understood without anyone saying it. He was no longer the star. He was the shadow. There must be some mistake, Matthew said when he saw the number on the table card. Harrington Holdings used to sit closer to the stage. The hostess checked her tablet, polite and unwavering. I'm sorry, Mr. Harrington. The seating arrangement is final. He swallowed his pride. This is fine. With a glass of whiskey in hand, he let his gaze travel across the ballroom. Familiar faces, former allies, funds that once orbited around him. Now they chatted enthusiastically with competitors Matthew would never have taken seriously. The isolation was almost tangible. The market had already discarded him. A shift rippled through the room. Conversations softened. Photographers surged forward. Matthew lifted his head, and he saw her. Carolyn Small entered with calm elegance, like someone who knew exactly where she belonged. The sapphire-toned dress lit her warm skin, steady shoulders, and impeccable posture. But it wasn't just her appearance. It was the way the ballroom subtly reshaped itself around her, as if everyone instantly recognized her place at the top. Before he could react, something beside her knocked the air from his lungs. 3 preteens walked with her. The girls in elegant dresses, the boy in a perfectly tailored suit. All carried the same upright posture, the same bright confidence, and eyes identical to his own. Matthew didn't need a DNA test. He knew. Mrs. Small, "It's an honor to have you," the coordinator said aloud. "Your table is right by the stage." Matthew's hand tightened around his glass as he watched Carolyn take one of the most coveted seats in the room. "No, it can't be," he muttered, stunned. The rest of the morning passed like static. Charts, projections, panels, none of it registered. His gaze kept darting back to Carolyn's table, where she spoke with CEOs and investors who once would have sought his attention. When the host announced the next speaker, the tone shifted. "Today we welcome one of the most remarkable rise-to-the-top stories of the last decade, CEO of Small Health Systems, valued at nearly $4 billion, Carolyn Small." Applause filled the ballroom. She walked to the stage with flawless precision. She spoke with clarity, technical mastery, and charisma, describing how her system had transformed hospitals, reduced waits, and slashed waste. Matthew watched as if witnessing his own story being overwritten by another, stronger, more admired, more complete. "To close," Carolyn said, "I'd like to introduce our newest application, and for that, I invite Ali, Avery, and Tyler Small to the stage." The three walked up with astonishing natural ease. The girls explained the visual flow of the app. Executives scribbled notes frantically. Then Tyler stepped to the podium. "The foundation of the system is a predictive algorithm I developed to anticipate resource needs." The ballroom fell into a respectful silence. At the far table, Matthew felt the weight of every choice he had ever made. He had not just lost a woman, he had lost an entire family. Based on historical admission patterns, cross-referenced with schedules and patient profiles, the system predicts bottlenecks and reallocates resources before a problem occurs, Tyler explained. This reduced the average wait time by 41%. The audience murmured in astonishment. It wasn't just the algorithm, it was the fact that an 11-year-old boy presented it with such effortless command. Matthew felt the air leave his lungs. These were the same children he once called a complication. Now they shone before the business elite. The presentation ended to a standing ovation. At the reception, Carolyn and the children were immediately surrounded by executives, investors, and hospitals eager to talk. After rehearsing explanations in his mind, Matthew took a breath and approached. "Carolyn," he called, his voice less steady than he intended. She turned with serene professionalism. "Mr. Harrington, I didn't expect to see you here. Could we speak in private?" "We're at a networking event," she replied, polite but firm. "Anything that needs to be said can be said right here." Before he could insist, Tyler appeared. "Mom, Mrs. Montgomery wants to talk about the pediatric wing." "Oh, sorry." Matthew stared at the boy as though looking at a smaller mirror version of himself. The jawline, the eyes, even the way he tilted his head. "This is Matthew Harrington," Carolyn said. "Tyler, my son." "Your son?" Matthew murmured. "My son," she repeated. "One of the developers of a patented algorithm." Tyler extended his hand. "Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Harrington. We studied your company in a case about conglomerates that failed to keep up with new technologies." Innocent. Merciless. Then the master of ceremonies called for silence. Small Health Systems has just confirmed the acquisition of Harrington Holdings for $1.25 billion. The ballroom erupted in gasps and camera flashes. Everyone looked at them, him in absolute shock, her composed as if everything had been planned. "I was going to tell you tomorrow," Carolyn said, but our communications department moved faster. "You bought my company? But why?" "Strategic expansion. Your financial structure complements our solutions. As for how, we made an offer appropriate to Harrington Holdings' current situation." Ali and Avery approached, forming beside Tyler a row of blue eyes that struck Matthew like a silent verdict. "My dears, this is Matthew Harrington, the founder of the company we just acquired." They greeted him politely, unaware of who he truly was. Matthew saw in each face something of his, and something he should never have lost. Carolyn needed to speak with the Cleveland Clinic, and the four stepped away as photographers captured every detail, unaware of the personal storm unfolding before them. When she returned to the stage to close out the session, Carolyn spoke with absolute command. "The greatest bottleneck in healthcare isn't in procedures," she concluded. "It's in bureaucracy. When you redesign the system from the patient's perspective, you find solutions no one else has seen." From his distant table, Matthew watched the impossible unfold. The most influential people in the room leaning in to hear her, investors calculating numbers, executives captivated. And then he understood. The story had completely turned. It was no longer about the man who discarded her. It was about the woman who built everything without him. The next morning, headlines exploded across major outlets. Small Health Systems acquires Harrington Holdings. Former Wall Street star has company absorbed by firm led by single mother. In the mirrored elevator of Small Health Systems, Matthew adjusted his tie, rehearsing what he would say to Carolyn. He had no idea she was already expecting this meeting, and that she had been preparing for this moment for years. The growth, the acquisition, and the final revelation to her children. In the Back Bay townhouse, Carolyn drank her coffee while the triplets packed their backpacks. "Mom," Ali said, "we're trending on LinkedIn. Your photo with Mr. Harrington already has 60,000 shares." The phone rang. The communications director. "The stock is up 16%, but they're asking about your history with Harrington. Forbes wants an interview." "Decline," Carolyn replied calmly. "This moment is about Small Health Systems, not the past." When she hung up, she found the children standing in the doorway. "That man, is he our biological father?" Ali asked. Carolyn took a deep breath. The moment had come. "Yes, Matthew Harrington is your father." The three exchanged silent looks. "Why did he never look for us?" Ali pressed. "Because he chose not to be part of our lives," Carolyn answered firmly. "And you bought his company for revenge?" Tyler asked. "No, my love, it was a strategic decision." Avery hesitated. "Do you still feel angry at him?" "Today I only feel distance and peace." Then her phone vibrated. "Matthew Harrington is here. He's insisting on seeing you." Carolyn kissed all three children. "We'll continue this conversation after dinner." On the 32nd floor, Matthew entered, almost bursting through the door. He had deep circles under his eyes and a wrinkled suit. "How could you do this? Use the children in some power play?" "Oh?" she said, raising an eyebrow. "Now they're our children?" Matthew faltered. "I have a right to meet them. They're my heirs." "Legally they're not," she corrected. "You renounced parental rights. You were eager to get rid of your complications." He collapsed into a chair. "I was an idiot." "You were 34, she reminded him, not cruelly, just plainly. "Why buy my company?" he asked, defeated. "Because it was vulnerable and had useful technology, and because, ironically, you looked at me the same way 12 years ago." Over the weekend, after discussing it as a family, Carolyn agreed to a supervised lunch between him and the triplets. The meeting was cordial but distant. "Your violin is incredible," he told Ali. "Mom invested in us," she replied, gentle but defensive. When Tyler explained his algorithm using terms Matthew barely understood, the truth became painfully clear. The talent he refused to nurture had flourished anyway. "They're special," Matthew murmured. "Yes, they are," Carolyn agreed. "They inherited that from you," he said, looking at the three. In the following weeks, Matthew tried to compensate for the past with gifts and promises. During a meeting, Carolyn finally set a boundary. "You can't buy lost time. They need sincerity, not excess." 6 weeks later, the media reconstructed the entire story. The short marriage, the pregnancy, the renunciation of parental rights. Carolyn answered clearly at a press conference. "My history with Mr. Harrington belongs to the past. My focus is the future of Small Health Systems." Her stance earned admiration, while Matthew sank further. Clients vanished, investors pulled out. 6 months later, he asked for one final meeting. The integration was nearly complete. The name Harrington was already disappearing from corporate materials. And at last, Matthew seemed ready to admit everything it had taken him a decade to understand. The late autumn cold swept through the Boston park, scattering golden leaves. Carolyn adjusted her scarf as the triplets, Ali with a book, Avery with a sketch pad, and Tyler with his tablet solving exercises, walked a few steps ahead. She needed that silence, that breath. But fate appeared in the shape of Matthew, emerging along the stone path, hands in his pockets, gaze steady and vulnerable. The arrogance he once carried was gone. All that remained was a man shaped by everything he had lost. Carolyn stopped. Her heart reacted before her thoughts did. "I promised I wouldn't look for you today," he said, offering a tired smile. "But I'm not great with promises when it comes to you. All of you." She crossed her arms, instinctively guarding her chest. "I just don't want this to confuse them." Matthew looked toward the 3 children playing beneath the oak tree. "I know, and that's why I'm here. Not demanding anything, not asking for anything. I just wanted to know if you're doing well." The simplicity of the question cracked something inside her. "We are," she replied. "We're doing very well." Silence followed, strange, heavy, filled with everything they had never said. "Carolyn," he began, voice low, "I'm not asking to come back. I'm not trying to slip into your life as if nothing ever happened. I was wrong. I was terribly wrong with you. I rejected my own children, and nothing I do now erases that." Leaves drifted down between them. "But I want to try to be someone they can respect, someone you don't have to avoid." Her chest tightened. It was honest, without drama. "My children need stability," she said. "And so do I." "I know," he answered. "That's why I'd rather walk slowly, your way, at your pace, if you'll allow it, even after all these years." She lowered her eyes, breathing in a request that hurt and healed at once. When she looked back up, she met the same blue the children had inherited, a gaze that for the first time wasn't asking, only offering. Avery spotted him first. "Mom, look, Mr. Matthew came again." Allie and Tyler hurried behind, curious. Matthew knelt, not in guilt but in humility. "Good morning, kids. It's very good to see you again, if that's all right with you." The 3 exchanged one of their silent looks. Tyler nodded first. Allie followed slowly. Avery gave a shy smile that melted Matthew's entire world. Carolyn took a deep breath. Something shifted in the air. There was no hug, no promises, only a beginning, small, tentative, but real. Matthew lifted his eyes to Carolyn, as if returning a question in the form of hope. She didn't smile, but she didn't turn away either. And for him, that was everything. 1 year later, the auditorium of Small Healthcare Solutions' new global headquarters in Boston was full. Behind the stage, the new slogan glowed, "Rewriting the path between patient and care." In the audience, Allie, Avery, and Tyler, now 13, wore badges reading "Small, Family and Founders." Beside them sat Matthew Harrington, dressed in a modest suit, posture humble. He didn't seek the spotlight. He didn't try to stand out. He had finally learned to occupy the place he should have chosen long ago, the place of support. "She always looks so calm," Avery whispered, adjusting her dress for the recital she and Allie would perform. "She trains," Tyler replied, holding a tablet. "Same way I train with my code, but I think she still gets nervous inside." Matthew smiled. "Nervous or not, your mother is the bravest person I've ever met." On stage, Carolyn's gaze found her children first, then Matthew. There was no hatred, no indifference, only quiet affection matured with time and the sense that their story still had unwritten pages. "When I started Small Healthcare Solutions," she began, "it was just a dining table in Norwood Heights, a used laptop, and 3 children sleeping in bunk beds." The audience laughed. "Today, we operate in dozens of states, helping millions of patients." Images appeared on the screen. The tiny apartment, the first office, the clinics, the hospitals, the children growing at her side. "The real miracle," she continued, "is not in the numbers. It's discovering that rejection doesn't define anyone. A no can become fuel to build what no one imagined you could achieve." Matthew felt his chest tighten. He was one of those no's. "The greatest power," she concluded, "isn't making someone regret their choices. It's turning their mistakes into the stepping stones for a life they never imagined you'd claim." The audience rose in applause. Allie stood first, and Matthew rose with her, out of genuine respect, not obligation. Later, in the rooftop garden under golden lights and a soft evening chill, the 4 gathered. "I still can't believe my mum is on the fortune list," Tyler said, pretending to be unimpressed, though pride gleamed in his eyes. "I'm going to have to explain that in every science presentation now." "Think of the upside," Allie teased. "You'll never run out of essay topics." Avery laughed, leaning her head on Carolyn's shoulder. "You know what's crazy?" she whispered. I remember you counting coins to buy my first music book. Now we have a grand piano in the living room." Carolyn kissed the top of her daughter's head. "None of this would matter without you three," she said. "The company, the awards, the events, those are bonuses. You are the main story." Matthew watched from a few steps away, a glass of water in his hands. After a moment, he approached. "May I borrow 5 minutes from the busiest CEO in the city?" The triplets exchanged their silent sibling look. "We'll get hot chocolate," Ali announced. "You two talk." They walked off. Carolyn and Matthew remained beneath the twinkling lights, Boston glowing behind them. "You stayed," she said, "a whole year. No grand gestures, no trying to buy anything." "I promised I'd start by being a father," Matthew replied, "and for the first time in my life, I kept an important promise without trying to rush the outcome." He exhaled, steadying himself. "I don't know if I'll ever deserve to be called a second chance in your life, Carolyn, or if you'll ever truly forgive what I did to you and the kids. But if you allow it, I'd like to keep trying. Not to fix the past, but to build something good from here." Her eyes shimmered, but no tears fell. "The girl I was at 24 is gone, but the woman I am now has learned to trust slow processes, and you are finally walking slowly." He stepped closer, not touching, just offering. "If you ever want to hold hands again, I'll be here, not as the man who broke you, but as the one who learned to care for what he almost destroyed." Carolyn inhaled deeply, as though surfacing from a dive. "Maybe for the first time we're beginning to walk in the same direction," she said. "I'm not promising a new marriage. This isn't a fairy tale ending, but I'll be honest in saying I'm not ruling out possibilities." This time, when he offered his hand, he did it slowly. She looked at his fingers, then at her own, and instead of pulling away, she intertwined her fingers with his. No fanfare, no audience, no dramatic music. From afar, the children saw. Avery smiled. Ali pretended not to get emotional. Tyler, analytical, murmured, "Finally, the data checks out." It wasn't a perfect beginning. It wasn't a definitive ending. It was something else. A story of starting over, where a woman discovered her worth on her own, and only then chose to make space for a love willing to return to the right place. Not in glamorous parties, but in the humility of asking forgiveness and choosing to walk beside her. And this is where our story today ends, or rather shifts its path, because here on Hearts Rewritten you already know, some loves don't end. They wait for the right moment to be rewritten. If this story touched your heart, tell me in the comments. Would you give Matthew a second chance? And of course, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Hearts Rewritten, and click on the next story waiting for you on the screen.